alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Chatter That Matters. My name is Sadaf Patel, and I am the Prevention Education Director here at An-Nisa. We are so excited to have a special guest with us today, Dr. Ketam Hamdan, who is our Mental Health Director at An-Nisa, and honestly is wonderful at teaching us how to be happy or how to be happier. So today we have a very interesting topic called how do you control your emotions? I know a lot of us, especially if there's, from South Asian or Arab communities that are listening out there, or anybody that's listening out there, emotions are something that are very hard to control sometimes. And I would love to learn what to do and how to do it. So, Dr. Hamdan, what do you mean by controlling your emotions?
Hi, Sadaf. Thank you for having me. Great question. The issue with managing your emotions is that how do you manage something you don't really understand? I think in London, there's a famous saying that says like have a stiff upper lip. Don't wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yes.
So
And with boys, don't cry.
so if we've been raised in a world that's basically taught us that emotions are bad, shut them off,
Yeah.
then it's very difficult to manage something that you don't really understand. And what I notice with a lot of people that I work with is that getting them to even name their emotion is challenging. So we know we're having difficult emotions. So when someone says something and it upsets us and we feel offended, we can feel it in our bodies. And oftentimes we either just react or we shut down.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, you pop the lid sometimes,
Yeah.
right? When you react.
And so I always tell people start off with just noticing your reactions. And the best reactions are always the ones when you're really upset. When someone pushes your buttons, like how do you respond? If it's usually in an unhealthy manner, then that's a clue or a big sign that, hey, I got some work to do. So if someone criticizes you or says, I don't like the way you presented that, or, at home, someone, says that you're so sloppy, you're so messy and puts you down, and you react by attacking them back with 50 other insults. That's a sign that you have some internal emotions that you've never kind of processed because instead of processing what they're telling you, you're just getting defensive and reactive.
So you're saying to name, like label, understand the emotion you're having and the reactions you're having. Like, do you think suggest like journaling or?
I
Like
mean, I think it's the step one. You can't manage whatever you're not aware of.
Yes.
And a lot of times when I ask people like, what are some things you struggle with? The famous answer I get is, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
And then I tell them the first place I want you to start is look at your relationships. How do when I say relationships, it could be your professional relationships, it could be your personal relationships, it could be your family relationships, it could be relationship with your friends, it could be at school. Like how do you respond to things that upset you? Most people don't respond in a mature way. They're either reactive, defensive, or just internalize it.
And it's so natural that we don't even realize that it's happening, right? Like why we're doing what we're doing. Is it because we felt this emotion and it triggered us?
Yeah. And then you'll often hear they'll just blame the other person. Well, they were just rude.
Yeah.
And maybe they were, but you can't change other people. The only people we can change is our response to the situation. A lot of times people will suppress their emotions, but when they're behind the wheel, like road rage.
Yeah.
That's a great example of and it's amazing how people think behind the wheel, they could actually express their emotions. So if someone cuts them off, what they're really saying, and they react negatively, what they're really saying is, I feel offended and I feel, invisible or dismissed, that I'm not important enough. And then they react in a very ugly way that sometimes has resulted in bad car accidents. So we're constantly exposing ourselves in terms of how we feel, but we're rarely actually naming how we're feeling. And I'm not a big Freud fan, but Freud said it best, where he said unexpressed emotions will come out in ugly ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for everyone that's listening, I would start saying, what are the ugly ways that your emotions are coming out? Yelling, screaming, insults, being shut down and quiet actually is an ugly way. People socially think that's okay. Oh, because they didn't react and they were just really kind about it.
Or the silent treatment even sometimes, right? Like with your husband or with parents.
What people don't realize, silent treatment is a form of abuse.
Yes, it is.
Because it's still controlling the other person, but it's even worse because they're like left to fill in the blanks.
And a lot of times you might do it just because you don't know how to express how you're feeling, right? So I feel like if you're not able to be aware of your emotions and how you react, you're actually not able to express what you're feeling. You don't get
Well,
anything across.
and I'm not here to blame, like we're only using, our upbringings to understand ourselves. But, I was just working with a couple this morning and they literally said, like, growing up, I could not express what I was feeling.
Exactly.
So if you were never given permission as a child, you're going to continue that into adulthood. So expressing yourself is a foreign concept because who wants to be shamed and ridiculed for saying, hey, I feel something's unfair or I feel unloved or uncared for, and then they're just going to get attacked. Why would
Yeah.
they? That's
Or
scary,
blamed.
and that's why like the hardest thing with emotions, you see a lot of things like name your emotions, regulate your emotions. We can't even do any of those. That's like step 3 and 4. I think step 1 is actually just notice your emotions.
So like notice it in your body.
Yeah, and notice like, but even what are you feeling?
Mm.
The amount of times I constantly will get like, how did that make you feel? Or what are you feeling? And I hear, I don't know.
That's so
Or
true.
I feel bad.
Mm.
Like very simple generic words that really don't give much insight. And we have to expand our emotional vocabulary by understanding that there's an entire emotional wheel
Mhm.
that has over 300 different words that we can use to describe our emotions. I ask people, like, what are the 6 basic emotions you're born with?
What are the 6? So it would be, I guess, anger,
Okay,
happiness, sadness, and anger, happiness, sadness, fear, and
2
hmm,
more.
I don't know what
So,
else would it be?
so every human is born with 6 basic emotions. You said 4 of them: anger, happiness, sadness, fear. The other 2 are disgust. Like children will know, like, and they know disgust means stay away from.
Oh
And then,
wow!
the last one is surprise.
Oh yes.
And
I didn't know they would be okay. So you can label surprise and disgust as
yeah,
emotions. Interesting.
and if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend it. Go see the movie Inside Out.
Yes.
There's Inside Out 1 and Inside 2. I actually like Inside Out 2 more, but they're both good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend go. It's a fun kids movie, but I think adults would equally benefit from watching that movie.
Yeah, because anything that actually helps us, understand what we're feeling and what causes us to react a certain way, I think it helps. So do you have any suggestions of how can we start becoming aware? I mean, I know you just said that we have to name it, right? We have to understand what we're feeling, but what else can we do to regulate our emotions?
Well, the other thing too is that, of all our emotions, the one that is probably the most challenging and difficult to work with is shame.
Yes.
And most of us have, especially in the South Asian and the Middle Eastern community, grew up with some level of shame. And shame shows up first and foremost in the body
Mm.
as a physical sensation. And what you'll usually feel is like, I've had clients tell me like my face is flooded, or I
Oh,
feel invisible, or I feel
invisible, yes.
numb. And that's why I'm saying first notice like the physical sensations that happen in your body and try to put some language to it. Like, what is it that you are feeling? Because you can't, if you name it, you can tame it,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and that will only happen through like some type of self-reflection. You constantly, a lot of times it'll be after the fact, something will happen, you'll get angry or upset, or you're disappointed. And in that moment, you won't be able to describe it. But then after an hour or 2, or even the next day, you might then be able to reflect and realize like, oh, I was actually really hurt and felt ashamed, or I felt guilty, or I felt, you know,
Mm.
invisible
Unheard.
or unheard. So we have to be compassionate with ourselves to give ourselves permission to actually just start noticing what we're feeling. I know it sounds too simplistic, but it's actually being able to just to notice what's happening in your body and what you're feeling. I'm emphasizing that as a first step because trying to do anything else is basically premature. And it's like telling you to go fly a plane when you don't even know how to, or to go run
Yeah.
when you don't even know how to walk.
Yeah. And I love what you said, to be compassionate with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? We don't allow ourselves to be compassionate with us. Like we're compassionate to everybody else, but we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why I think when we're hard on ourselves, that's why we suppress our emotions. We don't want to feel that shame. We don't want to feel that disgust. We don't
Yeah.
want to feel
Do you
that.
know the difference between guilt and shame?
Oh, that's a good one.
So guilt usually is I did something bad, and
Mhm.
usually you can do something about it.
Right.
Shame, the difference is the psyche interprets that as I am bad.
Oh, wow.
So that is a lot harder to work with because when you identify yourself as I am bad,
Yes.
why would you can't do anything about it because it's like a fixed statement.
It's just like even with mental health issues, like I am depressed.
Mhm.
You label yourself as that, you
And
know?
so it
And
becomes you become so strongly identified with it, you
yeah.
feel paralyzed and powerless. So you're like, how can I manage shame because it is me,
Wow.
I'm ashamed of myself. I'm bad. Not a good person, I'm
Wow.
unlovable, I'm not enough, I'm not valued. So you take that on as a whole identity.
Hmm.
And if you really start noticing these negative beliefs about yourself, this is a sign that you need to work with a mental health professional to kind of combat some of these negative core beliefs because none of us are born bad. We are all born perfect
Mm.
and we all deserve to feel enough and to feel loved.
So how can we strip the shame off? Is there a way to be able to move past that shame or, you know, turn that shame around?
Well, with shame, the reason why, like even Brene Brown talks a lot about
Yes.
shame, and she will admit and tell you it is the most of all the negative emotions,
Mm.
which there are many, it is the most challenging because it's an identity.
Yeah.
So the first and foremost is to tell yourself. The good news is for every negative emotion, like I'm not enough, the other side is there. I am enough. We're just watering one side more than the other. So I would start with you reprogramming yourself and recognize that none of us are bad.
Mhm.
None, we all, whether you believe you're good enough or you are enough, is really about what you believe about yourself
What you believe.
and what you've been watering. So start noticing, what do you want to have for yourself? Most of us never even ask ourselves, what do we desire for ourselves? We just take on these truths and that becomes our identity.
Yeah. Because we're so busy living life that we don't really understand who we are or
Mhm.
what we want.
Or what we deserve.
Or what we but like what you said about watering, I feel like sometimes as parents, what we water is also important on the kids,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like a lot of times our parents, I mean, I'm not trying to blame anybody, but they sort of watered that shame part, right?
Yeah.
Or that part that we're not good enough because they felt like if they made us feel not good enough, we would work to become better, right? That was their
Mhm.
mentality. You know what I'm saying?
And we do this, and then we perpetuate that with ourselves. And
Yes.
unfortunately, it only negativity only breeds more negativity.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, they felt like if I put my child down enough and tell them that they're stupid, that they're going to somehow become smart. If I tell them,
Yeah.
you're ugly, or look at you the way you're standing, look at the way you're sitting, and they compare themselves to their peers, their cousins, that it was going to motivate them to be like a superstar. It
And that's not true.
energy goes where attention is. If you tell someone they suck and they're a loser and they're stupid, guess what's going to happen?
They're gonna become a loser and
It's
stupid.
stupid,
Yeah.
and the same thing with what we tell ourselves,
Or they will feel that, right? And
Yes.
you become what you feel.
And yeah, and what you believe.
Yeah.
And so we don't actually sit there and pay attention to what do we really think of ourselves. We most of us think very, very, very crappy about ourselves. We actually tell ourselves the most horrible and negative things. So I would start with like if you want to improve your emotions and who you are, it really starts with identifying with what do you believe about yourself.
Mhm.
And watering and noticing that for every negative belief, the positive is there. You have a choice. If you think you're a loser, being a winner is also there, but you're just feeding the loser part. If you think you're not enough, the other side is there. I am enough is also there.
This is so profound.
Yeah.
This is
And
so profound.
and that's the good news. It's there, but we're just watering one side more than the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So actually feeling it in your body, what you're feeling, naming that, becoming
Yeah.
aware that what you're feeling, and then trying to see what am I watering? What feelings or what emotions
Yeah.
am I allowing to grow more than the other
And
and giving that positive side?
and sometimes like you can identify like, hey, I feel depressed. I feel
Mhm.
down.
Mhm.
Then I'd say, okay, most likely your thoughts internally are quite negative. You're
Yes.
thinking like compare, I'm single, I'm alone, I'm never going to be loved, or, if I'm in a bad relationship, this is all I'm going to just get. No one's going to ever love me and take care of me.
Yeah.
Those things about like a guy taking care of you or a girl being like there for you. That's only in the movies. That's not in real life.
Yeah.
So pay attention to your chart and to your internal mind chatter. The other thing too is that when you're feeling anxious or worried, pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. Some people say what comes first, thoughts or emotions, and it's really both. But for the most part, we can pay attention to the thoughts and actually realize, like, okay, I can change my emotions based on what I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
There's like one of the famous ones. One of the famous ones are saying, like, you're in a grocery store and you see someone that you know, and you say hi to them, and that person just walks right by you and ignores you. So
Mm.
that's the situation. Now, person A will be like, "Oh my god, I wonder if they're upset at me. Maybe they're mad at me because I didn't invite them to this event." And and so they really take it very negative. This person didn't say hi, and they spiral in lots of negativity, thinking of like, they don't like me. They think I'm a bad person. They don't want to be my friend. They're too good for me, and they leave that situation just feeling horrible the rest of the day.
Mhm.
Person B could be like, "Oh, I saw Samira at the store she didn't say hi to me back. I'm gonna call her in an hour and see if everything's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe something happened. I hope she's okay." That's a healthy, secure
Yes.
attachment person that actually isn't depersonalizing that person's reaction.
Yeah.
So same situation, different response based on what we're telling
And
ourselves.
it could be that she didn't even see you,
Yeah. That
which
too.
a lot of
Yeah.
times it happens,
Yeah.
right? So the 70 excuses thing, finding
Yeah.
excuses for why something
But the
happened. But we
predominant is really paying attention to your internal thoughts because your thoughts will also influence your emotions significantly.
excellent.
We're constantly, taking things personal, you
Yes.
know.
Yes. Excellent. And noticing that too, even if you're taking something personally.
Yes.
What proof do I have
Yeah.
that this happened, right?
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Oh my God, I learned so much today. So, guys, I hope you guys learned too, and that you will try to start becoming aware of what your body's doing, what you're feeling, what emotion are you, undergoing, and what can you do to water the other side or bring out the positive. Thank you so much, Dr. Hamdan. That was amazing, and we look forward to having you on again. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the week.